There are moments in life when silence becomes your greatest strength. The mind, restless and eager to react, wants to defend itself, to speak, to prove, to justify, to argue. Yet wisdom whispers something different. It tells you that not every attack needs a defense, not every insult needs an answer, and not every betrayal deserves your energy. Silence, when chosen with strength, is not weakness. It is a declaration that you are no longer controlled by chaos. There are times when the best way to protect your peace is to withdraw your words and allow the laws of balance to restore what human hands have disturbed. There will come a time when someone will speak against you, twist your intentions, and poison your name with their own bitterness. The old self will want to correct them, to make them understand that you were never what they said you were. But in such moments, you must remember that truth does not require defense. Time and the quiet workings of justice have a way of revealing what lies behind appearances. To stay silent in front of falsehood is to trust that what is real will eventually rise. People may believe lies for a season, but reality always endures longer than illusion. Let the tongue of slander tire itself out. Your stillness will expose more than your anger ever could. There will come a time when someone will betray you, when you will feel the sting of disloyalty from the hands you once trusted. Betrayal is a wound that tempts you to retaliate, to expose, to make them feel what you felt. Yet in that space between anger and response lies your power. You must remind yourself that betrayal speaks of their character, not yours. The universe keeps a perfect record of what is done in darkness, and no act of deceit remains hidden forever. Silence, in that moment, becomes a prayer of trust. It says, I do not need to chase justice, because justice already knows where to find them. The calm soul knows that those who harm others harm themselves first, even if they are not yet aware of it. There will come a time when someone will humiliate you in front of others, when you will be mocked, misunderstood, or treated with disrespect. Every part of you will burn to respond, to restore your dignity through words. But if you can pause, if you can let the silence speak for you, you will see how the fire within cools into clarity. Those who truly see will not be fooled by noise. Silence in the face of humiliation reveals who truly possesses strength. The one who can remain unmoved, who can endure the storm without shouting back, becomes untouchable. Dignity is not earned through confrontation. It is revealed through restraint. There will come a time when people test your patience through constant provocation. They will poke at your peace to see if you still carry your old anger, your old weakness, your old need to be right. And it is here that silence becomes your shield. When you stop reacting, you teach the world that you are no longer ruled by the same emotions that used to define you. The moment you choose not to answer insult with insult, not to match their fire with yours, something powerful happens. You shift the control. They wanted you to burn, but instead you become the calm observer of their flame. You realize that peace is not the absence of noise. It is the refusal to participate in it. There will come a time when you see injustice and your heart aches for balance. But not every injustice demands your immediate hand. Some are beyond your control, and when you try to force correction through emotion, you end up draining your own soul. The wise know that silence in such moments is not indifference. It is trust in a higher balance. You cannot right every wrong, nor can you awaken those who choose blindness. When your conscience is clear, your silence becomes a sign of your faith that the scales will even out without your interference. Every seed sown in deceit will eventually return to its sower. You may not witness it, but you can rest knowing it is already in motion. There will come a time when you are judged unfairly, when people will look at you through the lens of their own insecurities and assume the worst. The desire to explain yourself, to be understood, will rise like a storm. But you must remember, understanding is a gift, not a requirement. Not everyone deserves access to your inner truth. When you remain silent, you reclaim your power from those who seek to define you. Let them build their opinions. You continue to build your peace. In the end, silence will show them that your worth was never dependent on their validation. Time reveals the quiet dignity of those who let their actions speak instead of their words. There will come a time when anger will try to command your tongue. You will feel your heart racing, your mind filling with words you cannot take back, and it is then, above all, that silence must rise. For silence in anger is mastery. It is the moment when you prove to yourself that you are no longer a slave to impulse. Many ruin their peace, their relationships, and their own honor in a moment of uncontrolled speech. You must remember that words once released cannot be recalled. Silence, in those moments, is not suppression. It is wisdom guarding your future. It is the quiet act of choosing peace over regret. Life constantly invites you to speak, to argue, to prove. But the one who has seen the cost of unnecessary words knows that silence often achieves what speech never could. When you allow karma to handle what others do to you, you affirm your faith in the natural order of justice. You trust that every action carries its echo, every intention carries its seed, and every lie carries its end. You are no longer chasing fairness through noise. You are allowing balance through stillness. Silence does not mean you tolerate disrespect. It means you refuse to give your energy to what does not deserve it. It is not the silence of fear, but the silence of power. It says, I choose peace over chaos, clarity over confusion, time over impulse. It is not about surrendering your dignity. It is about preserving it. The loud often seem strong, but it is the quiet who endure. For the loud spend their strength proving, the quiet save theirs for living. The world misunderstands silence because it confuses stillness with weakness. But there is nothing weak about walking away when provoked, nothing cowardly about refusing to respond to malice. The weak are those who cannot control themselves. The strong are those who could speak, could fight, could destroy, but choose not to. That is the truest form of victory, to master yourself when you could have mastered another. Karma does not rush, but it never forgets. It may take months, years, or even a lifetime, but the wheel always turns. The one who hurt you will meet themselves again. The one who mocked you will one day be humbled by the same tone they once used against you. The one who abandoned you will one day crave the kind of loyalty they took for granted. You need not remind them. Silence will do it for you. The universe speaks through events far louder than your voice ever could. When you understand this, you stop wishing harm, stop desiring revenge, stop rehearsing pain in your mind. You no longer need them to see what they've done. You just watch as balance unfolds. This detachment is not apathy. It is peace rooted in understanding. You begin to see that every wound carries its own lesson, and every betrayal redirects you closer to what is true. What others meant to break you becomes the fire that forges your patience, your clarity, your calm. There is beauty in saying nothing when you have every reason to speak. It means you have learned to let time defend you, to let truth protect you, to let karma explain for you. Those who wrong you are teaching you boundaries. Those who leave you are teaching you self-reliance. Those who mock you are teaching you humility. Every event has its reason, and when you stay silent long enough, you start hearing it. You will reach a stage where your silence no longer comes from pain, but from peace. It will no longer be a weapon, but a sanctuary. You will not stay silent because you have nothing to say, but because you have learned that not everything deserves to be said. The mature soul knows that words are like arrows. Once released, they cannot return. So you will speak only when speech serves wisdom, and stay silent when silence serves truth. Sometimes silence is the only answer to noise. The one who provokes you is searching for reaction, not understanding. By refusing to respond, you deny them control. You show them that your peace is not negotiable, your mind not available for manipulation. And in that stillness, they are left with themselves, the greatest mirror of all. The weight of their own actions will eventually become heavier than any revenge you could have imagined. That is the way of balance. You will come to see that silence is not absence. It is presence. It is your spirit standing firm, refusing to descend into chaos. It is the quiet acknowledgement that what is yours will find you, and what is not will destroy itself. You no longer need to chase explanation, closure, or revenge, because the cycle of cause and effect never skips a turn. You stay silent, not because you do not care, but because you understand how the universe cares for you better than you could ever arrange on your own. In the quiet, you will also learn to forgive, not because they deserve it, but because resentment would only bind you to their energy. Forgiveness is not saying they were right. It is saying you choose freedom over attachment. And silence is the soil where forgiveness grows best. You stop explaining, you stop fighting, you stop remembering. You simply move forward, lighter, detached, wiser. That is when karma begins to work, for it can only act when you step aside. Let the world speak. Let others judge. Let them misunderstand. Your silence will become your shield, your peace, your strength. When words cannot change the situation, silence becomes your strategy. When people twist your truth, silence becomes your dignity. When anger calls for reaction, silence becomes your victory. In every trial, silence will show you who you are and who you are not. So stay silent when lies are spoken about you, for truth requires no defense. Stay silent when betrayed, for deceit destroys itself. Stay silent when mocked, for your calm will shame their cruelty. Stay silent when provoked, for peace is the sharpest reply. Stay silent when justice seems delayed, for the universe works in silence too. Stay silent when judged unfairly, for your worth is not in their words. Stay silent when anger burns, for silence extinguishes what fury would only fuel. You will realize that silence is not the absence of sound, but the presence of understanding. The understanding that what is meant for you will never require you to scream, chase, or beg. That life's justice is subtle, unseen, and unfailing. And when you choose silence in the face of wrong, you declare your trust in that justice. You rise above what others drown in. You become untouchable, not because you fought harder, but because you learn to stop fighting altogether. In this stillness, life reveals its order. Everything returns to its source. Every action finds its echo. Every deceit carries its fall. You do not need to be the judge, for existence already keeps balance. You only need to master the art of silence and patience. For silence is not passive. It is the deepest form of strength, the quiet faith that all things find their rightful place in time. And so, when the world becomes loud, when injustice shakes you, when betrayal cuts deep, remember, silence is not defeat. It is the language of those who trust the unseen. It is the calm between cause and consequence, between hurt and healing, between karma and its return. The quiet one may seem still, but within that stillness moves the greatest power of all. The certainty that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. Silence is the language of wisdom and the companion of strength. It is the choice of one who has seen enough storms to know that not every thunder deserves an answer. There is immense dignity in restraint, in refusing to let your peace be disturbed by those who thrive on chaos. When you hold your silence, you are not suppressing your truth. You are entrusting it to time, to the unseen justice that never sleeps. The more you understand how life unfolds, the less you feel the need to speak. For you come to know that the truth has a rhythm of its own. It moves quietly, slowly, but it never fails to arrive. There are people who feed off reactions. They provoke, manipulate, and test you, not because they care about truth, but because they need to feel powerful. The moment you answer, you feed them. The moment you defend yourself, you give them what they seek: your energy, your peace, your attention. But when you remain silent, their control dissolves. You leave them alone with their emptiness, and that emptiness becomes their punishment. To stay silent when someone craves your reaction is to show them they no longer have access to your inner world. And that, quietly, is how karma begins its work. In silence, you begin to see what words often hide. The one who wrongs you reveals their weakness. The one who lies exposes their fear. The one who mocks you uncovers their insecurity. You no longer need to respond, because their actions already speak for them. The universe does not miss what they've done. It observes, records, and restores. So when you feel the need to fight back, ask yourself, will this serve my peace or my pride? Pride seeks to be right. Peace seeks to be free. Choose freedom, and silence will always guide you there. Many think that to stay silent is to lose. But silence is not surrender, it is strategy. It is the understanding that storms cannot last forever, and that noise eventually burns itself out. Those who are loud with arrogance today will be quiet with regret tomorrow. Time humbles all things. You do not need to raise your voice. You only need to raise your understanding. You do not need to prove who you are. You only need to live in a way that cannot be denied. Life has its own justice, and it is far more precise than yours could ever be. There is great strength in walking away, not because you are weak, but because you know the value of your energy. You no longer chase what disturbs your soul. You stop explaining yourself to those who are committed to misunderstanding you. You stop expecting fairness from those who benefit from falsehood. When you walk away silently, you say, I choose peace over proving. I choose dignity over drama. That walk, that silence, that calm exit, that is how karma begins to move in your favor. For the one who leaves with peace always leaves with power. There will be moments when you will hear your name in conversations you were never invited to. See your worth questioned by those who never truly knew you. You will feel the sting of unfair judgment, and your first impulse will be to speak, to clear your name. But the wise know that truth is self-sufficient. It does not need your voice. It only needs time. Let the false stories spread. Let those who believe them carry that illusion. For truth has a way of returning quietly, like light seeping into a dark room. When it does, it requires no announcement. It simply reveals. There will be moments when people will walk away from you, not because you wronged them, but because they could not stand the mirror you became. Your growth will make them uncomfortable. Your calm will irritate their chaos. Your silence will remind them of everything they refuse to face within themselves. When this happens, let them go quietly. Do not chase. Do not question. Do not lower yourself to be understood. Sometimes silence is how you honor the distance that life is creating for your good. Those who are meant for your path will never need you to shout to be seen. The hardest silence is the one that follows betrayal. When someone you trusted turns against you, it feels natural to want to expose them, to show the world what they've done. But silence in betrayal is not weakness. It is self-respect. You are saying, your actions already revealed you. I don't need to add words. In time, truth unmasks deceit far more powerfully than anger ever could. The betrayer will watch as the walls they built from lies collapse around them, piece by piece. Karma is patient, but it is precise. Your silence ensures you do not fall with them. Silence also teaches you to see the hidden laws of life. You begin to notice that people eventually meet the energy they create. The one who spreads pain receives it. The one who acts from greed finds emptiness. The one who mocks sincerity ends up surrounded by falseness. You realize you don't have to intervene in their path. The balance of life is self-correcting. All you need to do is step aside and allow it to unfold. You preserve your soul by refusing to participate in the cycle of revenge. You watch without attachment, knowing that time will deliver every lesson. When anger rises within you, silence becomes your teacher. In that silence, you learn to observe yourself, to watch your emotions without being ruled by them. Anger asks for reaction, but wisdom asks for reflection. When you choose silence, you create space between what happened and how you respond. That space is your power. Most people react in that gap. Few use it to choose peace. The one who can remain still in anger has already won a greater battle than any argument could offer. The silent one conquers himself first, and through that conquers everything else. You will come to understand that silence is not emptiness. It is awareness. It is the place where understanding deepens and truth reveals itself without words. In silence, you stop trying to control outcomes. You no longer chase explanations from those who cannot give them. You stop waiting for apologies that may never come. You simply let go. You allow the energy to return to where it came from. What was done to you will be answered, not by you, but by the natural flow of consequence. You stay still, knowing that the storm outside cannot touch the calm within. As you grow, your silence will change its meaning. In the beginning, it will be your shield, a way to protect yourself from pain and noise. But in time, it will become your weapon, a way to command respect without saying a word. Eventually, it will become your essence, the way you live, move, and breathe. You will speak only when it adds value, and you will remain silent when it does not. This transformation is not sudden. It happens through experience, through loss, through awakening. It happens every time you realize that peace is worth more than being right. There is also silence in patience. To wait without complaint is one of the rarest forms of strength. You must understand that karma does not rush. It unfolds in the perfect moment, not when you want it to, but when it will teach the most. The one who wronged you may appear to prosper, but do not be deceived. The delay of consequence is not its absence. The longer it takes, the deeper it strikes. Trust the process. While you remain silent, the balance is being prepared. You may not see it yet, but everything is aligning. Your only task is to remain still and true. Silence also reveals how much control you truly have. You cannot control what others say, think, or do, but you can control your own energy, your response, your peace. Every time you choose silence, you exercise that control. You declare that your peace is not dependent on their behavior. That is real freedom. the kind that cannot be stolen, no matter what they do. And when you live in this state of control, karma works faster because you are no longer in its way. You have stopped interfering with what life is already trying to correct. Those who have wronged you will one day face the mirror of their own making. It may not happen before your eyes, but it will happen. Life has a way of bringing everyone face to face with themselves. The liar meets deception. The deceiver meets loss. The cruel meets loneliness. You do not need to wish it upon them. It is already written in their actions. You simply remain silent and let time deliver the message. Every silence you keep adds strength to that unseen justice. You are not ignoring what happened. You are allowing it to resolve itself naturally. There is deep peace in this understanding. You begin to see that the universe is not unfair, only precise. That nothing is forgotten, only delayed. That silence is not absence, but alignment. When you no longer need to be understood, defended, or avenged, you have entered a higher state of being. You have transcended reaction and entered realization. You become the observer, not the participant. You live in a calm beyond the reach of chaos. And from that silence, everything changes. You start hearing life differently. You start feeling lighter. You stop rehearsing pain in your mind. You stop replaying what they did. You stop waiting for justice, because you already feel it working quietly beneath the surface. You no longer need to see the downfall of others. You are too busy rising from your own ashes. The universe handles what people cannot. You no longer demand revenge, because peace itself has become your reward. So, stay silent not because you are weak, but because you are wise enough to know that words cannot fix what only time can. Stay silent not because you do not care, but because you care too much for your peace to lose it again. Stay silent not because you accept injustice, but because you trust that every seed planted will bear fruit in its season. Silence is not retreat. It is the highest form of confidence. It is knowing that you do not need to fight for what the universe is already arranging in your favor. And one day, without warning, you will realize that the silence that once felt heavy has become your home. The things that used to disturb you will no longer touch you. You will walk through noise with unshakable calm. You will see chaos and feel compassion, not anger. You will watch karma unfold with quiet certainty, not vengeance. You will understand that the world corrects itself through time, and your only duty is to remain aligned with peace. Silence, when truly understood, becomes an entire philosophy of living. It is the point where emotion ends and wisdom begins. Most people are noisy because they are uncertain. They fear being unseen or unheard. So they shout, they explain, they fight to be noticed. But when you truly know yourself, you lose the need to convince others. You realize that the truth does not beg to be believed. It stands quietly, unshaken, while everything false collapses under its own weight. That is the power of silence. It does not rush. It does not defend. It does not demand. It simply allows everything that is not real to reveal itself and fade away. There will be moments when your silence feels unbearable, when your heart wants to scream, when injustice seems too loud, and waiting feels like punishment. But these are the moments when silence is doing its deepest work. It is in these quiet spaces that strength is built. Not the loud, visible kind, but the invisible kind that endures. You are being trained not to depend on reaction, not to let others dictate your peace. You are learning to separate yourself from the noise of the world. You are learning that some victories are silent, some justice unseen, and some peace beyond words. There will come a day when someone will test you again, when you will be tempted to return to your old ways of reacting. They may provoke you with lies, disrespect, or indifference. And for a moment, you might feel the urge to answer back, to remind them who you are, to restore balance through force. But then, if you've learned well, you will feel something greater than the urge. You will feel calm. You will remember that every word spent on the wrong person is energy stolen from your future. You will take a breath, look at them, and simply stay silent. Not out of fear, but out of deep knowing that nothing you say will change their truth, and nothing they say will change yours. This is not the silence of defeat, it is the silence of power. It is the calm of one who understands that the universe does not need your words to balance what is unjust. Life is already listening, already working, already arranging what must return to each. The one who hurt you is teaching themselves, even if they don't yet realize it. The one who disrespected you will one day face the echo of their own actions. You do not need to wish it. You do not need to watch it. You only need to move forward and let silence be your witness. In silence, you learn to see people as they are, not as they pretend to be. You stop being blinded by charm or words. You watch patterns, not promises. You listen not to what they say, but to what they show. And that clarity is one of silence's greatest gifts. It sharpens your vision, deepens your understanding, and protects you from repeating old mistakes. You start recognizing who truly deserves your energy and who only feeds on it. You realize that some connections were never meant to be healed through words. They were meant to end through silence. There will also be moments when your silence protects others from themselves. Sometimes people act out of anger, jealousy, or confusion. They want to drag you into their chaos, make you a character in their story. But when you remain silent, you deny them that power. You allow them to face the emptiness of their own noise. You teach them through your stillness that peace cannot be provoked. Eventually, they realize they cannot win against someone who refuses to play their game. And in that realization, karma begins to unfold, quietly, fairly, and without your interference. Silence is also where you learn humility. You begin to see that life does not revolve around proving yourself or being seen. You stop needing recognition for doing good. You stop arguing about being right. You stop trying to fix those who cannot hear wisdom. You simply do what is right and let the results speak for themselves. When you release the need to control how others perceive you, you step into true freedom. That is the kind of strength that no one can take away. You begin to realize that silence is not just the absence of sound. It is the presence of self-control. It is your ability to choose peace even when chaos surrounds you. It is your ability to pause before reacting, to breathe before speaking, to observe before judging. It is in that pause that you see clearly what anger cannot see, what pride refuses to admit, and what emotion tries to distort. The quiet mind sees truth naked, uncolored by impulse. And in that vision, you find your liberation. Karma works in silence because it does not need applause. It does not announce its arrival. It does not boast of its power. It simply arrives when the time is right. You may not always witness the balance being restored, but you will feel it. You will feel lighter, freer, calmer. One day you will look back and realize that what once pained you has lost all power. That is the moment you know karma has completed its work. Not through punishment, but through your peace. The greatest justice life offers is inner tranquility, because once you have it, nothing external can disturb you again. When you start living in silence, your energy changes. You stop reacting to every disturbance. You stop engaging with meaningless noise. People will notice your calm and mistake it for arrogance or coldness, but it is neither. It is discipline. It is the understanding that peace is precious and must be guarded. You no longer explain yourself to those determined to misunderstand you. You no longer justify your growth to those who remain stagnant. You simply move with grace, letting your silence speak what words never could. The world will test this silence. It will throw distractions, temptations, and provocations your way. People will try to drag you back into the noise you left behind. But you will smile quietly, because you know that reacting would cost you more than staying still. You have learned the art of detachment. You have learned that silence does not mean absence of emotion. It means mastery over it. You feel deeply, but you no longer let feelings command your actions. That is how you rise above. You will start valuing silence the same way you once valued being understood. You will seek it not as escape, but as nourishment. You will sit in quiet mornings and feel gratitude instead of anxiety. You will walk away from conflict without explanation and feel peace instead of guilt. You will see your silence as a gift, not a punishment. It is in those quiet spaces that clarity grows, that intuition strengthens, that your spirit rests. You will discover that silence connects you to everything you need to know and disconnects you from everything that doesn't matter. Even your enemies will be silenced by your calm. When they see they cannot provoke you, they will grow restless. When they see you are unaffected, they will start questioning their own strength. That is how silence disarms. Without attack, without noise, without effort, it simply shows that your peace is greater than their chaos. And that is the moment when karma begins to shift. For when you stop feeding negativity, it loses its fuel. What once sought to destroy you now destroys itself. There is an old truth hidden in silence. The loudest voice in the room is often the most insecure. The quiet one, who listens, who waits, who observes, that is the one who holds power. For silence is the companion of awareness, and awareness sees everything. When you know this, you no longer envy those who shout the loudest. You no longer feel the need to prove your worth. You know that the truth does not compete, it simply endures. And so, silence becomes your answer to chaos, your response to disrespect, your reply to lies, your shield against manipulation, your path to peace, and your partnership with karma. You realize that the universe speaks in silence. It does not argue, it simply acts. It does not warn, it simply balances. It does not announce, it simply delivers. And the more silent you become, the more you align yourself with that rhythm. So, when faced with noise, stay silent and let time reveal. When faced with betrayal, stay silent and let truth emerge. When faced with injustice, stay silent and let balance unfold. When faced with provocation, stay silent and let your calm speak. When faced with judgment, stay silent and let your growth prove itself. When faced with lies, stay silent and let reality do the explaining. When faced with anger, stay silent and protect your peace. For silence is not what happens when words end. It is what happens when wisdom begins. Silence is not weakness. It is the highest form of self-mastery. It is the quiet agreement between your soul and the universe that says, I will not interfere with what life is already arranging for me. It is the sound of trust, the echo of strength, the rhythm of peace. It is the space where karma breathes, unseen but unstoppable, restoring order to everything that was ever thrown out of balance. And when you finally learn to rest in that silence, you will understand you were never being ignored. You were being protected.